Violence and human trafficking are among the factors fueling what many in law enforcement are calling a crisis.
The high rate of missing Indigenous persons cases in our state and across the country are beginning to receive more attention. In the latest segment of Facing Race, King 5's Natalie Swaby hears from one family seeking to turn that awareness into action.
On this stretch of road, a reminder of one family's painful reality towers over Interstate 5. A billboard bearing the message, Mary Davis Johnson, missing.
Now that she's disappeared, we don't know where she's at, if she's dead or alive. It'd just be nice to have her back.
Gerry Davis and Nona Blouin are constantly thinking about their sister, Mary, known for being an adoring aunt and a loyal friend.
She's very kind.
Loving.
Yeah.
Especially the family, sisters.
But for their family, everything changed in a flash on Fire Trail Road.
How many people said they'd seen her?
We have at least 3 people who saw her on the road that day, walking.
Tulalip Tribal Police Chief Chris Sutter says it was here, on the day before Thanksgiving, that there were sightings of the 39-year-old.
And our phone record searches indicate that at least her phone made it to the area of 116th Street here in Tulalip. And then we believe that she may have been transported to the area of Oso, Washington, but she never made it to her final destination.
What was that destination?
Well, she was attempting to go visit some people who she knows in that area.
The sisters say they had no idea Mary was missing until her estranged husband contacted police on December 9th.
He said that she's been gone for a couple weeks and she's not normally gone that long.
Mary, a Tulalip tribal member, is currently one of 3 people listed as missing in Chief Sutter's department alone. He says it's evidence of an epidemic.
You talk to anybody who lives on a reservation and they know somebody who's gone missing. Unfortunately, too many of them are abused, exploited, and murdered.
In a 2016 study from the National Institute of Justice, more than half of the American Indian and Alaska Native women surveyed had experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. And they were 1.7 times more likely to experience violence in the past year compared to white women.
This is an invisibility that Native people face in this country every single day.
Tragedies not talked about enough, according to Abigail Echohawk with the Seattle Indian Health Board. She sees colonialism, racism, and sexism as factors fueling the high rates of violence.
The reality of violence against Native women is because this country has created an environment where raping us, where abusing us, where trafficking us, and where killing us is done with absolutely no to very little consequences.
She says it's a crisis no one was keeping track of.
But with the data we found, what we saw was appalling.
So her team went to work publishing this report about missing and murdered Indigenous women here in the Northwest and across the country. In 2016, the National Crime Information Center had more than 5,700 reports of American Indian and Alaska Native women and girls missing, with many of the cases in urban areas.
The urban Indian population is so invisible, and if people were collecting data, they often were racially misclassifying folks.
Many of the people are in the system as not Native American. They're in the system as white or Asian or Hispanic.
Patty Gosh, a Washington State Patrol tribal liaison, is working to correct inaccurate racial identifiers and ultimately help bring the missing home.
We've heard of women and men both that went to a bar and had a few drinks and with some people that they met, and they wake up in the back of a moving vehicle and they're informed that they're about to go to work, and that's when the trafficking begins.
Chief Sutter says cases like that require extensive resources.
They take our detective resources off reservation often. I think nationally, a very high percentage of cases are people, non-Native Americans, that prey and exploit Native American women. So these cases do have that jurisdictional patchwork.
As a result of the maze of jurisdiction that exists within our tribal reservations, they'd say this is a responsibility of the FBI. The FBI would say this is a responsibility of the county. nobody would take responsibility for the cases that were there.
Echo Hawk says work is underway to clear up confusion around jurisdiction and to find the root causes behind these cases. That's the focus of a new state task force.
And we're bringing together groups of people to discuss and to make recommendations to the Washington State Legislature that are community driven and focused on gathering information on how we can truly intervene and prevent, and also work to solve the cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and all people.
Never think it's going to happen to you. And one day it does, and feel for the families out there going through this.
Going through every waking moment, not knowing.
I would personally love to get to re-know my sister again.
She'd love for this nightmare to be over.
I miss her.
That's why they're doing everything they can to call out a crisis and draw more attention to cases like Mary's.
The Seattle Indian Health Board is partnering with the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office to improve data collection and analysis for missing Indigenous persons cases. To learn more about Mary's case and others, just text the word missing to 206-448-4545.